Mr. Bell's Fix-It Shop. This is a favorite story of ours, isn't it? Do you remember this one, Lucy? There's your namesake, Lucy, with Mr. Bell. She was his helper. And there he's got some of his tools, his paraphernalia. Alright. Let's see if we can open the book here. Mr. Bell's Fix-It Shop. That's the front of the shop, and of course you see the ever-present kitty cat. Kitty cat shows up in about every different scene. Mr. Bell could fix almost anything. Broken clocks. See the broken clock? Broken locks. Oh yeah, there's a broken lock right there. Alright. Broken pans. Broken fans. Broken plates. Broken skates. He could fix them all. And do you see the kitty cat? People smiled when they walked past his little shop and saw the sign in the window. It said, Mr. Bell's Fix-It Shop. I fix everything but broken hearts. Mr. Bell did all of his fixing in the back of his shop. At his workbench, he kept tools and screws and nails and nuts and bolts. I saw a bunch of bolts down here in this box. In every musty, dusty corner, there were bins and boxes filled with odds and ends. There's an old broken bike. That looks like a rocking horse, doesn't it? Oh, and who's that asleep right there? You know, some of his friends told him that his shop was too messy. They said, throw some things away. But Mr. Bell said, nope, there's a use for everything. You never know when you will need a doorknob or a pickle jar. Uh-oh. Yeah, he stepped right in the drum, didn't he? That guy. Lucy, who lived nearby, loved to look around in Mr. Bell's shop. She came nearly every day after school. I want to have a shop, a fix-it shop of my own when I grow up, she said. So Mr. Bell made her his special helper. One afternoon, as Lucy was helping Mr. Bell polish the front window, she asked, "What's a broken heart?" "Well," said Mr. Bell, "when you feel so sad that you think you'll never be happy again, that's when you know your heart is broken." "Ooh," said Jill, "I sure hope I never have a broken heart." One day, Mr. Bell was extra busy. Ben the barber, there's Ben, had a radio that wouldn't play. "My customers miss the music," he said. "Don't worry," said Mr. Bell, "I'll fix your radio as good as new." And Otto, the laundryman, had an iron that wouldn't get hot. "What good are clean clothes if I can't iron them?" he asked. "Don't worry," said Mr. Bell, "I'll fix that iron good as new." And who's that on the table? And Sarah Stevens had a camera that wouldn't click. "I'm going to Australia," she said. "It won't be any fun if I can't take pictures of the kangaroos." "Don't worry," said Mr. Bell, "your camera will be good as new in no time." Oh, who's asleep right there again? Mr. Bell spent all afternoon at his workbench. Looks like he's working on the iron right there, doesn't it? And he said, "I could certainly use Lucy's help today. I wonder where she is." It was nearly supper time when Mr. Bell finished his work. He was hungry. "It will be good to get home to my cabbage soup and roast beef," he said to himself. But suddenly, just then, who should come in the door? Aha! Lucy burst into the shop. She looked very unhappy. "Why, Lucy," said Mr. Bell, "what's wrong?" "I went to my grandma's house today," Lucy said. "Her new puppy chewed up my doll, Rosie." And she held up her doll. "Just look at her." And Jill started to cry. Mr. Bell forgot all about his supper. "Don't cry, Jill," he said. "I'll try to fix Rosie. I'll fix her as good as new." "Really?" asked Jill. She was still crying. "I promise," said Mr. Bell. You run along now. You run along now and don't worry about a thing. I'll see you tomorrow." Oh, Mr. Bell took Rosie to his workbench. He found an old baseball bat. "It's a good thing I didn't throw this away," he said. And he carved a new arm and a new leg for Rosie. He smoothed away all the splinters and painted and polished the wood. "It's sure a good thing I didn't throw this away," he said as he picked up an old lampshade. With scissors and glue, he turned fringes and tassels into beautiful new hair for Rosie. A blue ribbon that matched Rosie's eyes became a big bright bow for her new hair. Oh, Mr. Bell even made Rosie a brand new dress and shiny new shoes from scraps of gingham and satin. Finally, he looked through his pots of paint until he found the color that was just right for her smile. With a little brush, he painted a cheery new smile on Rosie's face. And now it's late and the moon is up. You see that? It was way past his bedtime when Mr. Bell left the shop. As he rode home, he remembered. What did he remember? His cabbage soup and roast beef. "Ah, my supper will be very late tonight," he thought, "but it will taste extra good." And who is catching a ride on the back of the bike? Yeah, I have a horn like that on my bike. See that horn at the front? It goes honk, honk. All right. The next morning, Lucy was waiting for Mr. Bell when he came to open his shop. "Did you fix Rosie?" she asked. "See for yourself," said Mr. Bell, smiling. "Come inside." "Oh, Mr. Bell," Lucy exclaimed when she saw her doll. "She looks beautiful." "Good as new," said Mr. Bell. And Lucy gave Mr. Bell a big hug. That afternoon, that same day, but that afternoon after school, as Lucy was helping polish the window, she said, "You know, Mr. Bell, there's something else I think you should fix." "What's that?" asked Mr. Bell. "This sign," Lucy replied. "It says you can't fix broken hearts, but when you fixed Rosie, you fixed my broken heart too." And there's the meow. People still smile when they walk past Mr. Bell's Fix-It shop and they see the sign in front, but the sign is a little bit different now. The crack in the heart has a bandage painted over it, and the words above it say, Mr. Bell's Fix-It Shop. I fix everything, even broken hearts.